Welcome to the ultimate masterclass on one of the most powerful retention and conversion engines in the e-commerce space today, Stamp.io. If you are running an online store, whether you are pulling in your first 100 sales or actively scaling past the seven-figure mark, you already know that the digital landscape has never been more competitive. Customer acquisition costs are at an all-time high. Advertising on social media is incredibly expensive. You can no longer afford to just drive traffic to a website, cross your fingers, and hope for a one-time purchase. You need a system that builds bulletproof trust, captures authentic social proof, and turns casual buyers into lifelong raving fans. That is exactly what Stamped is built to do. But before we dive directly into the setup, we need to talk about who this platform is actually for and why it exists. Stamped is designed for e-commerce founders, digital marketers, and brand builders who understand that trust is the ultimate currency of the internet. It caters to a very specific group of people, those who want to automate their growth. Whether you are selling apparel, tech gadgets, skincare, or digital downloads, your target audience is desperately looking for a reason to trust you over Amazon or your biggest competitor. The core mission of Stamped is beautifully simple, yet incredibly profound, to help brands accelerate growth through the voice of their own customers. Their goal is to make capturing and displaying user-generated content completely effortless. For marketers, this ecosystem is a dream come true. Instead of worrying about clunky code or hiring expensive developers, you can manage your core customer retention strategies from one beautifully designed dashboard. It frees up your time so you can focus on being creative, optimizing your ads, and designing better products. Let's log in and take a close look at exactly how this interface is built to make your life easier. Before we click into any specific settings, let's take a moment to appreciate what you're looking at right now. The interface of Stamp.io is a masterclass in modern SaaS design. In the e-commerce world, a massive barrier for creative marketers is software that looks like it was coded in 1998, cluttered, overwhelming, and requiring a technical manual just to find the settings page. Stamp took the exact opposite approach. They understand that as a founder or a marketer, you suffer from decision fatigue. You need to log in, see your data clearly, make adjustments, and get out. Notice the clean, minimalist aesthetic and heavy use of white space. This isn't just about making it look pretty. It serves a crucial psychological function. It drastically reduces your cognitive load. When you log in first thing in the morning to check your brand's health, you aren't hit with a confusing wall of spreadsheets and tiny text. Look at the persistent navigation menu on the left-hand side. It is incredibly intuitive and logically grouped. Everything is accessible within one or two clicks. There are no hidden submenus buried 5 layers deep. If you want to look at your incoming customer feedback, you click Reviews. If you want to change how your widgets look on your website, you click Display Widgets. If you need to adjust your automated emails, you go to Settings. It completely flattens the learning curve. You can hand this software over to a brand new marketing intern, and they will understand how to navigate it within 10 minutes. In the center workspace, your most vital health metrics are front and center. Stamp utilizes clear, high-contrast typography and simple visual graphs to give you a bird's-eye view of your performance instantly. This UI is built for speed and efficiency. The interface stays completely out of your way, so you can focus on what actually matters, turning this data into your most profitable marketing channel. Now that you understand the layout, let's dive into the core engine of the platform, the automated review request. Once you seamlessly integrate Stamped with your platform, whether that is Shopify, BigCommerce, or WooCommerce, you will land right here on the main dashboard. And I want to emphasize the word seamless. The moment you connect this app, it instantly syncs with your store's backend. When an order is fulfilled on your website, Stamped automatically knows. There is no manual data entry, no exporting messy CSV files, and no babysitting the software. Just take a look at how clean and intuitive this user interface is. One of the biggest barriers for creative marketers is software that requires a degree in computer science just to navigate. If a platform is too complex, you simply won't use it. Stamp has engineered this interface to be incredibly lightweight and visual, making your daily operations incredibly smooth so you can get in, analyze your data, and get out. But let's pause for a second and talk about the underlying psychology of what we are actually doing here. Why are we aggressively collecting reviews in the first place? Think about your own shopping habits. When you land on a new website, do you blindly trust the marketing copy, or do you instantly scroll straight down to the bottom of the page to see what real people are saying? In consumer psychology, there is a concept known as the wisdom of the crowd. When a potential buyer lands on your product page, they are in a state of high friction. They are actively looking for a reason to say no. They want to know, will this actually solve my problem? Is the shipping actually fast, or will it take a month? If I have an issue, is the customer service going to ignore me? You can hire the most expensive copywriters in the world to craft brilliant, persuasive product descriptions, but the modern consumer will fundamentally doubt you because you have a financial incentive to sell to them. They will, however, explicitly trust a complete stranger. That is the raw power of authentic social proof. By automating the collection of reviews, you are literally outsourcing your copywriting to your happiest customers. They will handle the heavy lifting of mitigating risk and destroying buyer hesitation for you. Let's head over to the settings and then customization to see exactly how we can engineer these requests to get the highest response rate possible. This brings us to the single most vital touch point in your entire post-purchase funnel, the review request email. This is the automated sequence that gets triggered after a customer receives their product. Stamp gives you incredible creative control here. Now, a massive, costly mistake I see beginners make all the time is leaving this email as the default robotic template. Do not do that. You want to customize the colors, the fonts, and the tone of voice so that when this lands in their inbox, it feels like a natural extension of your brand's unique identity. First, let's talk about timing. You do not want this email to send the moment the package is delivered. You need to configure the delivery delay to give them time to actually open the box and experience the product. If it's a clothing item, give them 7 days. If it's a skincare routine or a piece of tech like an air conditioning unit, give them 14 to 21 days so they can see real results before you ask for their opinion. Next, let's talk about copywriting. The subject line of this email is the most important sentence you will ever write because you are competing against a highly crowded inbox. If they don't open the email, you don't get the review. Don't just use a boring subject line like, please leave a review for your recent order. It sounds corporate and needy. Try something highly conversational, personal, and brief. Something like, what did you think of your new gear, first name? Or quick question about your recent order. This creates curiosity and drastically boosts your open rates. But what is the absolute best part of Stamp's email system? The in-email review form. This is a game changer for conversion rates. With older, outdated software, a customer would get an email, click a Leave Review button, get redirected to a new browser tab, wait for the website to load, realize they have to log in, and then finally try to type a review. It was a terrible, high-friction, multi-step process. Every extra click you ask a customer to make cuts your conversion rate in half, and most people just abandon the page out of frustration. Stamp flips that entirely. It utilizes dynamic email technology that allows the customer to literally type their review and click the 5-star rating directly inside their email inbox, whether they are on the Gmail app on their phone or Apple Mail on their desktop. There are no redirects and no loading screens. By completely removing all of those extra annoying steps, you're making it as frictionless as humanly possible for them to give you a massive compliment. This one specific feature alone is practically guaranteed to skyrocket your review collection rate overnight, giving you the social proof you need to scale your ads. Gathering those glowing reviews is really only half the battle. If they just sit hidden in a back-end database, they aren't making you any money. Displaying them strategically on your storefront is where the actual conversions happen and where casual browsers officially turn into buyers. Look right here at this display widget section. A major problem with a lot of older, cheaper e-commerce apps is that their widgets are heavy and bloated with bad code, which completely ruins your website's page loading speed. And as we know in this industry, a slow-loading website aggressively kills sales. Stamped, however, provides you with highly responsive, incredibly lightweight, lightning-fast widgets that you can inject exactly where they will have the highest psychological impact on the buyer's journey without slowing down your store. While there are dozens of fancy ways to display social proof, I want to strip it down and focus on the two absolute core foundational widgets that every single successful, high-converting e-commerce store on the planet relies on: the star rating badge and the main review widget. First, let's look at the star rating badge. This might seem like a tiny visual detail, but its placement is absolutely critical to your conversion rate. You want to place this badge directly under your product title and directly above your price. Why? It all comes down to consumer eye tracking and mitigating what we call sticker shock. The exact moment a customer's eye scans down to see the price of your item, their brain immediately starts looking for a reason to justify that cost. They need immediate visual reassurance that the product is actually worth the money you are asking for. Seeing a bright, highly visible 4.8 stars based on 150 reviews sitting right next to the price, and the Add to Cart button creates an instant, subconscious trust anchor. It completely validates their desire to buy before they even begin to scroll down the page. Second, we have the main review widget. This typically lives at the very bottom of your product page, right below your product descriptions and images. This is the deep dive section. This is where your highly analytical customers, the ones who are on the fence and need a little more convincing, will go to scroll through and read the detailed, text-based experiences of other real-life buyers. They are actively skimming for specific answers to their unspoken objections. Does it run small? Is it hard to set up? How is the quality after a month? The clean, perfectly mobile-optimized design of Stamped's main widget makes finding these answers completely effortless for the user. But here is the absolute secret weapon of this platform. There is a massive hidden advantage to this main widget that 90% of beginner marketers completely ignore: SEO, or search engine optimization. Brand owners will pay SEO agencies tens of thousands of dollars to try and rank on the first page of Google, but Stamp helps you build that authority organically. Think about it. When your customers write reviews, they don't write like corporate robots. They write like real people. They are naturally using the exact long-tail keywords that other potential buyers are typing into the Google search bar every single day. They are writing highly specific phrases about the soft, breathable cotton fabric, or the incredibly durable battery life, or how the product is perfect for small apartments. Stamps widgets are perfectly coded with advanced schema markup to feed this incredibly valuable, keyword-dense text directly to Google search crawlers. Furthermore, Google's algorithm heavily rewards websites that are constantly updated with fresh, relevant content. Every single time a customer leaves a new review, Google registers your product page as newly updated and highly relevant. Over time, having these dynamic text reviews actively boosts your organic search rankings, literally bringing you highly qualified, free traffic every single month without you ever having to write a single blog post or spend an extra dime on paid ads. Now, let's talk about the absolute reality of running a successful e-commerce business: moderation. Eventually, no matter how incredible your product is, no matter how perfectly you pack your boxes, and no matter how fast your shipping is, you're going to get a negative review. A 1-star or 2-star rating will inevitably land in your dashboard. Many new store owners completely panic when this happens. They take it personally, and their first instinct is to try and delete it or hide it, thinking it will permanently ruin their brand's reputation. But I want to completely reframe how you look at this. A negative review is not a punishment. It is actually a massive, disguised marketing opportunity. In fact, consumer psychology studies consistently show that a perfect 5.0 star rating across hundreds of reviews actually triggers suspicion. Modern buyers are incredibly savvy. If they only see glowing 5-star reviews, they assume the reviews are fake or heavily filtered. A 4.7 or 4.8 average, accompanied by a few thoughtfully handled negative reviews, is significantly more trustworthy to a cold prospect. When you see a negative review come into your stamp moderation dashboard, it sits right here in this centralized feed. You don't have to hunt it down. And right beneath it, you have the ability to publicly reply to it. This simple little text box is where you officially separate your brand from the giant, faceless corporations that treat their customers like mere numbers. Here is the golden rule of e-commerce moderation. When you reply, you are not really replying to that one angry customer. You are replying to the hundreds or thousands of future, highly skeptical customers who are actively reading your reviews. We all do it. People specifically filter by one-star reviews just to see what the absolute worst-case scenario looks like. If someone leaves a one-star review because their package was delayed by the post office or the item was damaged in transit, you use this reply feature to shine. You don't get defensive. You don't pass the blame to the courier. You take extreme ownership. You're at something like, "Hi, Sarah. I'm so incredibly sorry your package was delayed by the carrier and didn't arrive in time for your trip. That is not the standard we strive for. I've already personally issued you a partial refund and expedited a replacement unit via overnight shipping." When a new prospect reads that exchange, what do they think? They don't care about the delayed package anymore. They think, wow, if something goes wrong with my order, this company actually cares. There is a real human behind this brand who will take care of me and protect my money. You have instantly eliminated their purchase anxiety. I have seen businesses actually increase their overall conversion rate specifically because they handled a one-star review with incredible grace and world-class customer service right here inside the stamped interface. It turns a potential PR disaster into your absolute strongest selling point. Now we're going to transition into the second half of the stamp ecosystem, advanced customer retention and friction removal. Most beginner e-commerce owners mistakenly think that customer retention is exclusively about offering massive, margin-killing discounts or building incredibly complex, confusing point systems. But the reality of solid brand development is quite different. The absolute best way to build a deeply loyal repeat customer base is to provide extreme clarity and world-class customer service right at the point of sale. That is exactly what the community Q&A feature accomplishes. When a customer is actively looking at your product page, especially if you're selling something technical or high ticket, they almost always have a hyper-specific, situational question that your standard product description simply doesn't cover. For example, if you're selling a portable cooling unit, they might be wondering, will this custom magnetic window adapter securely fit my specific sliding glass door? Or what is the exact decibel level of this machine when the compressor turns on? If they cannot find that specific answer within 3 seconds, they will simply abandon the cart and buy from a competitor who provides better information. Stamp's Q&A widget sits beautifully right on your product page and allows customers to type their exact question. That question lands directly in this dashboard for you or your team to answer. But here is the brilliant compounding effect of this feature. Once you answer it, that specific Q&A pair is permanently published to the live product page. You are essentially building a crowdsourced, highly specific FAQ section organically over time. Future buyers with that exact same hesitation will scroll down, see your detailed, authoritative answer, and instantly convert. You are proactively destroying buyer friction on autopilot, while also feeding Google's search crawlers incredibly rich, user-generated keywords to boost your SEO. But how do we actually accurately measure true brand loyalty over time? A 5-star review tells you they like the product, but it doesn't tell you if they will buy from you again. For that, we use the ultimate metric that every 8-figure and 9-figure brand obsesses over, the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. This isn't just a vanity metric. It is a profoundly powerful operational tool built right into Stamped. Instead of just asking for a standard product review, an NPS campaign sends a simple, beautifully designed, and highly targeted email to your buyers asking one single, scientifically backed question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our brand to a friend or colleague? This is the ultimate stress test for your entire business infrastructure. It mathematically categorizes your buyers into three highly specific groups. Anyone who scores you a 9 or a 10 is classified as a promoter. These are your brand evangelists. They don't just buy your products, they actively sell them for you through word of mouth. When you see a high number of promoters, that is your signal to aggressively push referral programs and VIP offers to them. Anyone who scores you a 7 or 8 is a passive. They are generally satisfied with a purchase, but they have zero emotional attachment to your brand and would easily jump ship to a competitor for a 10% discount. And finally, anyone from 0 to 6 is a detractor. This is your early warning radar. This is someone who had a genuinely bad experience and is actively warning people not to buy from you. By tracking this single enterprise-level metric right here in your dashboard, you completely remove the guesswork from your scaling strategy. If your NPS is high, know you have the green light to confidently scale your advertising budget because those customers will return. If your NPS suddenly dips, it is an immediate operational mandate to pause your ad spend and audit your product quality, your packaging, or your courier times. Stamped gives you this incredibly sophisticated, data-driven insight for free, completely separating you from the amateurs who are just guessing what their customers actually think. Now we're going to transition into the second half of the Stamp ecosystem, advanced customer retention and friction removal. Most beginner e-commerce owners mistakenly think that customer retention is exclusively about offering massive, margin-killing discounts. But the reality of solid brand development is quite different. The absolute best way to build a deeply loyal customer base is to provide extreme clarity and world-class customer service right at the point of sale. That is exactly what the Community Q&A feature accomplishes. When you click into the Questions tab on a brand new setup, you'll notice a clean, illustrated screen that says, "No results found." In software design, this is known as an empty state. It is a pristine command center waiting for your traffic. I want you to visualize what happens when your store goes live. Let's say a customer is actively looking at your product page, especially if you are selling something technical or high ticket. They almost always have a hyper-specific, situational question. For example, if you're selling a portable cooling system like an air conditioning unit, they might be wondering, will the custom magnetic window adapter securely fit my specific sliding glass door? If they cannot find that specific answer within 3 seconds, they will abandon the cart. But with Stamped's Q&A widget sitting right on your product page, they simply type their exact question. Instantly, that inquiry populates right here in this middle column for you or your team to answer. Here is the brilliant compounding effect. Once you answer it, that specific Q&A pair is permanently published to the live product page. You are organically building a crowdsourced, highly specific FAQ section over time. Future buyers with that exact same hesitation will scroll down, see your detailed, authoritative answer, and instantly convert. You are proactively destroying buyer friction on autopilot. But how do we actually accurately measure true brand loyalty over time? A 5-star review tells you they like the product, but it doesn't tell you if they will actually buy from you again. For that, we use the ultimate metric that every 8-figure and 9-figure brand obsesses over, the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. When we click on the NPS tab, you see a similar empty dashboard waiting for your campaigns to launch. This isn't just a vanity metric. It is a profoundly powerful operational tool. Instead of just asking for a standard product review, an NPS campaign sends a beautifully designed, highly targeted email to your buyers asking one scientifically backed question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our brand to a friend or colleague? When a customer clicks a number in that email, their specific score and written feedback instantly appear right here in this feed. This is the ultimate stress test for your entire business infrastructure, categorizing your buyers into three highly specific groups. Anyone who scores you a 9 or a 10 is classified as a promoter. These are your brand evangelists. They don't just buy your products, they actively sell them for you through word of mouth. Anyone who scores you a 7 or 8 is a passive. They are generally satisfied, but they have zero emotional attachment to your brand and would easily jump ship to a competitor for a 10% discount. And finally, anyone from 0 to 6 is a detractor. This is your early warning radar. This is someone who had a genuinely bad experience and is actively warning people not to buy from you. By tracking this single enterprise level metric right here in your dashboard as the data rolls in, you completely remove the guesswork from your scaling strategy. If your NPS is high, you have the green light to confidently scale your advertising budget. If your NPS suddenly dips, it is an immediate operational mandate to pause your ad spend and audit your product quality or courier times. Stamped gives you this incredibly sophisticated, data-driven insight for free, completely separating you from the amateurs who are just guessing what their customers actually think.